For those times I want something rich, chocolatey, warm, and, importantly, right now, this brownie in a mug recipe has been my go-to dish. All the ingredients are things you might already have lying around, which makes it the perfect impulse dessert. Flour, sugar, salt, and some kind of neutral oil or fat. You should have all of these by default if you're a somewhat functional adult. The only things you might have to make a point of buying are the cocoa powder and the optional chocolate chips, but if you're a chocoholic like me, you should have no shortage of either. The first thing you need for a mug brownie, of course, is a mug. A clean mug. Where the hell are all of my mugs? A mug. After that, you'll need to gather the rest of your tools to create the perfect mug brownie. A full set of measuring spoons, measuring cups, an additional spoon for mixing, a whisk, and no! You'll just need one spoon! Every ingredient in this recipe will be in some multiple of the tablespoon, with the occasional half tablespoon, which you can easily eyeball. Here they all are right now. Technically, for baked goods, you'll want more than an eyeball's precision, but when you're working at this small of a quantity, the stakes are super low if you end up with a bad batch. If the brownie sucks, throw it out and make it again. But you probably won't because you're hungry and desperate for any amount of dopamine in the form of something that approximates the dessert you're craving, so you'll settle with whatever shitty concoction anyways. Now you'll need to separate the dries and the wets between two different bowls, and no, just throw them into the mug. No need to dirty any additional dishes. You don't even have to clean the measuring spoon between ingredients if you planned it out correctly. I found the best order of operations is dries before wets, prioritizing what dirties the spoon the least. Sugar, flour, salt, cocoa powder, water, oil, mix, sink. This is the same reason why I use oil instead of butter, because oil doesn't require an additional container that you have to melt it in. I don't care if olive oil isn't neutral in flavor. It's all I fucking have! You'll know the batter's ready when it looks as soft and pillowy as my mattress. Thank you, Helix. Now you can add any additional toppings or mix-ins that you want. A swirl of peanut butter, crushed walnuts, dried fruit, add whatever calls to you. I'm going with the aforementioned 1.5 tablespoons of chocolate chips and not a chip more, and no! You measure that shit with your heart! Although I cannot stress enough the importance of adding it a little at a time, and even more importantly, pouring it into your hand first rather than straight into the mug. No matter how confident you are in your eyeballing abilities, you are not immune to the dangers of accidentally pouring in too many chocolate chips, seeing there's not nearly enough batter to account for the surplus, and realizing the only spoon you need to make more of it is dirty in the sink. At that point, no amount of luck or skill will protect you from the manic chaos of grabbing small handfuls of each ingredient with your grimy, chocolate-dusted fingers, approximating the proportions you somewhat recall from 2 minutes ago when you were measuring out the ingredients, and your vague memory of what brownie batter usually looks like. Honestly, who's to say a mug brownie needs to look like a brownie anyways? In the mirror universe, where hastily assembled pastries happen to have evolved as the cultural ideal, me with a beard would be saying,
"Please stop, I'm not doing an Asian accent. What does that even mean? What does that even... Stop."
By now, all bets are off in terms of precision, so just keep adding shit based on vibes. If it looks too wet, sprinkle in some dry ingredients. If it looks too dry, add some more water and oil. I also recommend taking the L, as the kids say, and discarding some of the batter in between adjustments, because otherwise, you'll just have an exponentially growing amount of questionably edible batter to account for. Sure, you can just toss the whole thing and start over, but that requires admitting you made a mistake. If you refuse to stop cooking, you can't lose! Take as many tries as you need to get the consistency right before giving up and acting like you meant to make the batter this oily in the first place. Indeed, more fat in the batter actually makes for a fudgier brownie. Plus, the cocoa powder that you pour too much of adds that bitter kick you love about a rich, dark chocolate. No! Who are you trying to kid with this pretentious Iron Chef charade? If you wanted a bakery fresh brownie, you can go buy it from a bakery, or set aside the 2 hours of your life required to make this elusive gourmet brownie you insist will solve all of your problems. But instead, it's 7 p.m. and you're high, or drunk, or just woke up from a nap, and you need food either for sustenance or to feel human again. So taste your abomination one last time and throw it in the microwave. Depending on your microwave, you should cook this anywhere between 1 to 3 minutes. The optimal strategy here is to put a minute on the clock and then cook it additionally in 30-second increments until it resembles what you remember happiness feels like. This is the same technique used by Dr. Crumbus Bumbus, professor of mug nutrition at Harvard University.
Yeah, you put the ingredients in the mug and then you microwave them, and science hasn't really figured out why that works.
Thank you, Dr. Bumbus. I did 2 minutes total for my brownie, poked at it a little, and decided it needed another another 30 seconds because, yeah, the main issue regarding this brown sludge I horked up is that I didn't cook it enough. Once it's cooked all the way through, let it sit on the counter to cool for a few minutes before digging in. But knowing the uphill struggle it took to bring into existence this sad cup of shit, it might be better to just scarf it down and get it over with.
Oh god. Oh.